Hi, I'm Mia. I've been through a lot, and if you're listening to this, you're about to hear one of the most significant chapters of my life. It all started with what was supposed to be a joyful celebration, my birthday party. I had just turned 33 and had been promoted to senior project manager at a tech company in Austin, Texas. I was thrilled. It felt like all my hard work was finally paying off. So, I decided to host a birthday party at my home to share the news with friends and family. My husband, David, and I had been busy preparing for weeks. Our house, a modest but charming place in a cozy neighborhood, was decked out with twinkling lights, colorful balloons, and a beautiful cake I had picked out. David, a software engineer in his mid-30s, was supposed to be my rock, my partner in everything. He had always been supportive of my career, or so I thought. The evening started off perfectly. Our friends and family gathered, and the mood was lively. I remember chatting with Clara, my close friend and colleague, who was excited to hear about my promotion. "You must be over the moon, Mia," Clara exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with genuine excitement. "Tell us everything." I smiled, feeling the warmth of the room. I had been waiting for this moment to share my big news. When it was time, I gathered everyone around. I looked at David, who was standing next to me, ready to back me up. "Thank you all for coming," I began. "I have some exciting news. I've been promoted to senior project manager at work. It's a huge step forward for me, and I couldn't have done it without your support." The room erupted in cheers and applause. It was a moment I had dreamed of, a moment where I could finally share my success. But as I looked around, I noticed that David's face was not reflecting the joy I expected. Instead of the pride I had hoped to see, there was a hint of discomfort. Mrs. Lancaster, David's mother, was sitting across the room. She had always been critical of me, especially regarding my career. As I was savoring the congratulatory messages, she leaned over to David, her voice barely above a whisper, but loud enough for me to hear. "Is this what you wanted for him? To be overshadowed by his wife's career?" Her words stung, like a needle pricking at a balloon filled with joy. I tried to brush it off. I thought maybe she was just being her usual self. But David's reaction was more disheartening. He looked at me with a forced smile, his eyes reflecting uncertainty. "Mia," he began, his tone suddenly cold. "I mean, it's great and all, but don't you think we should start thinking about our future? Like settling down, starting a family?" My heart sank. This wasn't the support I was expecting. I felt a mix of betrayal and confusion. "David, we've talked about this," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "This promotion is important for both of us. It's a step forward in my career, and it means more stability for us in the future." But David wasn't having it. His gaze shifted toward his mother, who nodded approvingly, and he seemed to shrink under her disapproving gaze. "Mia, when are you going to slow down and focus on us? The career isn't everything," he said, his voice filled with an edge of frustration. I felt my heart pounding in my chest. This was not how I had envisioned this night. The joyous occasion had turned into an unexpected battleground. I tried to defend myself, but the damage was done. The main course was served, but the air was thick with tension. David's demeanor grew colder, and the warmth of the celebration seemed to vanish. As dessert was being served, I noticed that David's frustration was escalating. The party that had started with so much promise was now overshadowed by a growing storm. The turning point came abruptly. David stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "You should know your place, Mia," he shouted, his voice echoing through the room. "You're my wife, not my competitor." I was stunned. The room fell silent, the clinking of cutlery ceasing as every eye turned to me. I stood up, my heart racing. "Being your wife doesn't mean I have to give up on my dreams," I said, my voice trembling with hurt and anger. "I deserve respect, not this." In a shocking moment that felt like it was in slow motion, David's hand flew through the air and struck me across the face. The sound was a sharp, painful crack that seemed to freeze the room in place. I stood there, my hand flying to my cheek, pain spreading through me. The guests watched in stunned silence. With every ounce of strength I had, I walked toward the foyer. My heels echoed on the marble floor, each step a testament to my resolve to leave. I grabbed my purse, not daring to look back. The door closed behind me with a soft click, marking the end of a chapter one had hoped would be filled with celebration and support. That night, as I drove away, the house shrinking in my rearview mirror, I felt a storm of emotions: fear, sadness, and a surprising flicker of relief. I was alone, but for the first time in a long time, I felt the spark of something new: freedom. This was the beginning of a new journey, and I was determined to see where it would lead. The next morning, I woke up in my small apartment, the familiar hum of the city outside providing a stark contrast to the chaos of the previous night. It was strange how silence could be both comforting and unsettling. I had spent the night at Clara's place. She had insisted I stay there, and I was grateful for her support, though it was hard to shake the heaviness that clung to me. Clara was a true friend. She was there for me when I needed someone the most. She had seen me through long work hours, career challenges, and now, this unexpected crisis. As I walked into the kitchen, she greeted me with a warm smile and a cup of coffee. "You must be exhausted, Mia," she said, her voice gentle. "But I'm glad you're here. We'll get through this together." I nodded, taking the cup and savoring the warmth that seeped into my cold fingers. The coffee was strong, a much-needed jolt to start the day. "Thanks, Clara. I don't know what I would have done without you," I admitted, my voice wavering. The night before, after I had left my own birthday party, I had driven aimlessly before ending up at Clara's. The party, which was supposed to be a celebration, had ended in a shattering of dreams. I had never imagined David could react so violently. I had always thought of him as my partner, my equal. The betrayal cut deep, leaving me with a mix of anger and sadness. The days following the party were a whirlwind of activity and emotions. I knew I had to take control of my life, starting with ending my marriage. I contacted a divorce attorney, a step I had hoped I would never need to take. The attorney's office was sterile, a sharp contrast to the vibrant life I had once known. Sitting across from the attorney, I felt a mixture of determination and apprehension. "We can begin the process as soon as you're ready," the attorney said, his voice professional but sympathetic. "I'll need some information from you, and we can file the necessary paperwork." I took a deep breath, nodding. "Let's do it. I can't stay in this situation anymore. It's not healthy for either of us." The next few weeks were a blur of legal meetings and paperwork, punctuated by moments of self-reflection. My focus at work became my refuge. My boss, Mr. Johnson, was a beacon of support. He knew about the situation, and his encouragement helped me find strength. "Mia," he said during one of our meetings, "you've been handling everything with such grace. Remember, your work is valuable, and we're here to support you." Clara, too, was a constant source of comfort. She kept me grounded, reminding me that I was stronger than I realized. "You've worked so hard to get where you are, Mia," she would say. "Don't let this setback define you. You're capable of so much more." Despite the support, the process of divorcing David was emotionally draining. He tried to reach out, leaving messages and calling. His voice was often filled with regret and desperation. "Mia, can we talk?" one voicemail said. "I'm sorry for what happened. I want to fix this. Please, let's talk about it." I listened to the messages, each one a painful reminder of what had transpired. The more he pleaded, the more I realized that reconciliation wasn't an option. The man I had married was not the person I needed in my life. His attempts to fix things were too little, too late. I had to focus on my own healing and growth. During this tumultuous time, my career began to take on new significance. The promotion that had once been a source of joy now became a symbol of my resilience. I threw myself into my work with renewed passion. I attended conferences, spoke about my experiences, and found myself becoming a mentor to young women in the industry. One of those young women was Lily, an intern who reminded me so much of myself when I was starting out. Lily had a spark in her eyes, a determination to succeed despite the challenges. I took her under my wing, guiding her through the complexities of the tech world. "Don't let anyone make you doubt yourself," I advised her during one of our sessions. "You have every right to pursue your dreams, and you deserve respect." Mentoring Lily became one of the most fulfilling parts of my life. Seeing her grow and succeed gave me a sense of purpose. It was a reminder that despite the struggles I faced, there was still a way to make a positive impact on others. Her success was a testament to the strength and determination I had fought so hard to find within myself. While my career was thriving, David's life seemed to be falling apart. I heard through mutual acquaintances that his professional reputation was suffering. His behavior at the party had left a mark, and he struggled to regain his footing. I received messages from him asking for help, but I remained firm in my decision. I had to keep my distance for my own well-being. One evening, I found myself reflecting on the past few months. It had been a journey of rediscovery and growth. I had faced adversity head-on, learned to set boundaries, and reclaimed my identity. It was a painful process, but it had ultimately led me to a place of empowerment. Looking back, I realized that the night of my birthday party, while devastating, was also a turning point. It was the moment I chose to stand up for myself, to walk away from a toxic relationship, and to embrace a future that was entirely my own. The path wasn't easy, but it was one that led me to a renewed sense of purpose and self-worth. As the divorce proceedings continued, each day felt like a tightrope walk between moving forward and looking back. I was trying to balance my emotional recovery with maintaining a facade of normalcy at work and in my personal life. David's attempts to reach out only added to the weight of the situation. Despite the constant barrage of phone calls and messages, I remained resolute in my decision to move on. One chilly November morning, I sat at my desk, working on a new project at the office, when Clara stopped by. She could always sense when I was struggling, and today was no different. "You're looking a bit distant," she said, taking a seat across from me. "How are you holding up?" I sighed, rubbing my temples. It's tough. The constant reminders of what happened. It's like I can't escape it. David's been trying to reach me, and it's hard not to feel conflicted. Part of me wants to hear him out, but I know I need to stay strong. Clara nodded, understanding. "You've done an incredible job navigating all this. It's okay to have moments of doubt, but remember why you made the choice you did. You deserve to be treated with respect and love. Don't let his regrets sway you." Her words were a balm to my frazzled nerves. I appreciated her unwavering support, especially during moments when I felt tempted to second-guess my decisions. As the weeks went by, the divorce process became more routine, albeit emotionally draining. I had my moments of questioning if I was making the right choice, but then I would remember the party, the betrayal, the violence, and I would reaffirm my decision. One significant turning point came during a work conference. I had been invited to speak about my experiences in the tech industry and the challenges I had overcome. The speech was a chance to share my journey and connect with others who faced similar obstacles. I was nervous, but I knew it was important for my own growth and for the young women who looked up to me. The day of the conference, I stood backstage, my heart racing. Clara was there for moral support, giving me a reassuring nod. "You've got this," she whispered. "Just be yourself and share your story." When it was my turn to speak, I took a deep breath and walked onto the stage. As I looked out at the audience, I saw faces full of anticipation and curiosity. I started by recounting my promotion and the excitement of achieving a significant career milestone. Then I shifted to the challenges I faced, including the betrayal and the subsequent journey to reclaim my identity. "It's easy to let adversity define you," I said into the microphone, my voice steady. "But it's far more powerful to take control and redefine yourself." I faced a difficult decision to leave a relationship that no longer served me, but it was the hardest and best choice I've ever made. The response was overwhelming. Women came up to me afterward, sharing their own stories of struggle and empowerment. Their gratitude and encouragement were a testament to the impact of speaking out. I realized that my experiences, while painful, had a purpose. They could inspire and help others who were going through similar situations. During this period, my mentorship with Lily became even more meaningful. She was thriving under my guidance and had begun to take on more responsibilities at the company. Her growth was a constant reminder of why I had to keep pushing forward. We spent many hours discussing career goals and personal challenges, and I was proud to see her confidence blossom. However, my sense of empowerment was continually tested by David's persistent attempts to reconnect. He sent me letters, called, and even showed up at my apartment once. Each time, I remained firm. I had learned that my value wasn't tied to my past relationships or the opinions of others. I was building a new life based on my own terms and goals. One evening, after a particularly emotional day, I received another letter from David. It was filled with apologies and pleas for another chance. As I read through it, I felt a pang of sorrow for what we once had but remained steadfast in my resolve. I knew that reopening old wounds wouldn't help me move forward. I penned a brief, firm response. David, I've made my decision. It's important for both of us to move on and find our own paths. I wish you the best, but I need to focus on my own future now. With that, I sealed the letter and sent it off. It was a final act of closure, a step toward truly leaving the past behind. As the new year approached, I felt a sense of hope and renewal. My career was thriving, and I was making a difference in others' lives. As the new year dawned, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. It was as if I had finally shed the weight of the past and was ready to embrace the future with open arms. My career continued to flourish, and I was given more opportunities to lead and speak at industry events. Each new accomplishment was a testament to my resilience and hard work, and I was determined to make the most of every chance that came my way. One chilly January afternoon, I found myself preparing for a conference where I was scheduled to speak about leadership and personal empowerment. This was one of those moments when I felt my past struggles coming full circle, transforming into a platform for sharing wisdom and encouragement. Clara, ever my steadfast friend, was there to support me, helping with the final touches on my presentation. Your story is going to resonate with so many people, Clara said as she reviewed my notes. You've turned your experiences into something truly inspiring. I appreciated her faith in me. As I stood in front of a room full of eager faces, ready to share my journey, I could feel the weight of my experiences fueling my words. I spoke about the importance of setting boundaries, reclaiming one's identity, and finding strength in adversity. I emphasized how my decision to leave a toxic relationship had ultimately led me to a place of empowerment and growth. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Attendees approached me afterward, sharing their gratitude and their own stories of overcoming challenges. It was a reminder of why I had chosen to be open about my journey. By helping others see that they too could overcome their struggles, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. During this time, my mentorship program with Lily was thriving. She had blossomed into a confident and capable professional, and I was proud to see her achievements. It was rewarding to know that I had played a role in her growth. Our sessions together were not just about career advice, but also about navigating personal challenges and staying true to oneself. Meanwhile, David's attempts to reach out had diminished. I had received a few more letters, each filled with more regret and requests for reconciliation. However, I had made it clear that I was moving forward with my life. I had learned the hard way that my worth wasn't tied to someone else's perception of me. I needed to focus on building a future that was mine alone. In late February, I was invited to participate in a panel discussion about women in tech. It was an exciting opportunity to speak alongside other accomplished professionals and share insights on breaking barriers in a traditionally male-dominated industry. As I prepared for the panel, I reflected on how far I had come from that fateful birthday party. On the day of the panel, I felt a mixture of nerves and excitement. Standing in front of the audience, I realized that the journey I had been on wasn't just about overcoming personal adversity. It was about embracing my strengths and using them to inspire others. I spoke passionately about the importance of self-worth, setting boundaries, and pursuing one's ambitions, regardless of societal or familial pressures. The panel discussion was a success, and the feedback from the audience was incredibly positive. It was clear that my story and the lessons I had learned were resonating with many. I felt a profound sense of accomplishment and pride. I had turned a difficult chapter in my life into a source of inspiration and strength. As spring approached, I found myself more grounded and confident in my new life. My career was thriving, My personal boundaries were firmly established, and I was finding joy in mentoring others. The experiences I had faced had shaped me into a stronger, more resilient person, and I was determined to continue building on that foundation. One evening, as I sat in my apartment reflecting on my journey, I realized that the true measure of success wasn't in the accolades or professional achievements, but in the growth I had experienced and the person I had become. I had learned to value myself, set clear boundaries, and pursue my passions with unwavering determination. I had taken control of my life and carved out a future that was true to my values and aspirations. My journey wasn't defined by the past, but by the strength and resilience I had found within myself. And as I looked toward the future, I felt a deep sense of hope and excitement for the new possibilities that lay ahead.